Okay, day 129. We're getting there, guys. This is awesome. There's only like 11 more days. We go to 140. Yay. Okay, get excited. You're almost done. Capitalization is on your own. Punctuation. Remember, use an ellipsis. That's ... 3 dots. When part of an expression is missing. If it ends a declarative or an imperative sentence, also add a period. For example, we hold these truths to be self-evident, ... And then it's the end of the sentence, so you have another dot. All right, you can also use a colon before a lengthy statement. In a long statement in 1823, Daniel Webster said, "If truth be not diffused, error will." Okay, so when we start these sentences, usually we start by looking for whether someone is speaking. And in this case, someone is. We have Daniel Webster saying something. It just doesn't happen right away. Let's look for where the quote begins and get the quotation marks taken care of. In a long statement in 1823, Daniel Webster said, comma, quotation marks, "If truth be not diffused, error will." I'm going to give you a hint. Don't put your quotation marks right after will. Leave some space before you put your quotation marks, and you'll see why in just a second. All right, so we've got our quote covered. Now, let's take a look at what else we need to do in this sentence. In a long statement in 1823, those are two prepositional phrases back to back, so we kind of combine them together. An introductory prepositional phrase has a comma. So in a long statement in 1823, comma. Daniel Webster said, comma. Quotation marks. If truth be not diffused, error will, ... End of a sentence, another dot, and then those quotation marks that you already put in place. Okay, so I'm going to show you what we have here. All right, in a long statement in 1823, Daniel Webster said, if truth be not diffused, error will. All right. Oh, I think I might have forgotten that comma after diffused when I was speaking to you. That would be an introductory adverbial clause. All right. The other thing that you can do is where I have a comma for said, you could also have a colon. Either one is correct in this case. All right. You got that? Good. So let's move right along. Dictionary work. Pending has two different definitions. Pending can act as a preposition, which means during or while waiting, when it's used as a preposition, or pending can be used as an adjective, as in meaning not yet decided or being in continuance. Does the use of pending in the following sentence reflect definition 1 or 2? There's a couple different things we can be looking at here. How is the word being used? Is it being used as a preposition or as an adjective? And also, what does the word mean? The bill is pending and will possibly be vetoed. All right, so the bill is during, the bill is while waiting. Does that make sense? It really doesn't, so I don't think that it's definition 1. So let's double check definition 2 and see if that makes sense. The bill is not yet decided and will possibly be vetoed. That makes sense. The bill is being in continuance and will possibly be vetoed. That makes sense. And then the final check would be, is this acting as an adjective? It is. Bill is the subject. Is a linking verb. Pending is a predicate adjective. So all those things point to definition number 2 being a very safe bet. And there it is. I stuck it in right there. Definition 2 is the correct one. Phrases and clauses. Label any dependent clause DC and label any independent clause IC. Many people attended the reunion because it was held in a large park with basketball and tennis courts. Let's take a look at the first clause. Many people attended the reunion. Is that an independent clause? Does it make sense all on its own? It does, so it would be an IC. Because it was held in a large park with basketball and tennis courts, does that make sense on a standalone basis? It does not. It needs more information, so that is a dependent clause. All right, so we have the IC and the DC. Then we have example B. Their grandfather carries a cell phone in his pocket, and his family calls to check on him. So the first clause that we're looking at is their grandfather carries a cell phone in his pocket. Is that an independent clause? Does it stand by itself? Does it make sense? It does, so it's an IC. His family calls to check on him. Is that an independent clause? Can it stand by itself? It does, it makes sense. It's an IC. So here we go. We have, whoops, there it is, two ICs. And then just for fun, if you have an IC with a DC, an independent clause with a dependent clause, or a dependent clause with an independent clause, we call that a complex sentence. If it's two independent clauses together, we call that a compound sentence. Do you know what you call it when it's two dependent clauses together? It's not a sentence. It would be an incomplete sentence. So you don't want to have two dependent clauses together in a sentence unless you have an additional independent clause. Okay, next we have sentence combining. 4 sentences to combine into one complete sentence punctuated correctly with end of the sentence punctuation present. You should have done the capitalization on your own. I hope that you did. Let's check it. Check your work, not copying. You can check my work as I read the answer. An authority on Abner Doubleday, a Union officer during the American Civil War, spoke to a history class at Harris Middle School. I don't know if I read that very well. Let me try that again. An authority on Abner Doubleday, a Union officer during the American Civil War, spoke to a history class at Harris Middle School. Okay, history is not capitalized because it's just a generic history class. If it was History 101, then it would be capitalized. All right, hopefully that all makes sense and you don't have any questions, but if you do, you can catch me after class. All right, guys, God bless you. Good job today.